The end of my using in particular, like I picture like an actual whirlpool, like in like a horror film or something, like where somebody's like spiraling down into like darkness, you know, like circling the drain, because that's how it felt, you know, like, and it felt like you were only, you know, like I was letting myself down, and that when I would, you know, stop using, start using again, but I would, you know, also think like, oh, my kids, like, what am I doing to my kids, you know, my family, my mom, you know, like, because at some point when I had told my mom that I was, you know, actually a heroin addict, you know, she was upset, but she wasn't shocked. Because she had questioned me so many times about like, are you on drugs? And my mom has no reference for like what it's like to be on drugs. Right. So there were many times like throughout my life where she thought I was on drugs, and like I actually wasn't at the time. Or like one time she found, I had a friend that had gotten these, this was in like junior high school, and I had a friend that her brother had brought back these weird cigarettes from like he was in the military and had got these Turkish cigarettes or something. I don't know. They were really strange looking. And so I had them like in a Ziploc bag, and my mom was like, what is this? Is this pot? And I was like, no, they're just cigarettes. And she didn't believe me, so she took them to somebody at work to verify that they were actually, that it wasn't pot. And they were like, I don't know what this is, but it's not pot. But by the time I told my mom, you know, she was suspecting that something was up, you know, because I was, you know, I wasn't returning phone calls, I wasn't coming around, like I would just disappear, you know, like I would just disappear, you know, and I had kids, so, you know, she'd be concerned, you know. There was one time I was supposed to be on a flight to another country, and I was supposed to call her when I was going to France. And so I was supposed to call her when I got to France, or when I landed, and I didn't call. And so, you know, like, this goes on for a while, and then eventually she talks to someone else that I was going to be with there, and they're like, no, she never showed up. So my mom's like panicking, you know, and I didn't ever make it on the flight. Like I chose to I had an anxiety attack on the plane, on the tarmac, and left the plane and like went to a hotel and like just got loaded for like 3 days and like didn't bother, you know, because I knew my kids were with my mom and they were taken care of, and like I compartmentalized like, okay, that part of my life is being taken care of right now, and I can go just lose my mind. So I did. Exactly. Like I went to a hotel in Oakland and just, you know, kind of, you know, was drinking and using, and then
by yourself?
I can't remember if there were other people. I think it was probably just by myself. I don't remember other people being
fuck
there.
You, I'm not sharing this.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I think I was just there by myself, and I did, like, you know, it was like 2 or 3 days later, I did get back on. I did take the flight and go, but you know, I have to explain that. I had to explain to my mom, and I've had anxiety since I was little, so I would use that as a scapegoat. A lot of times I would say, oh, I was having such anxiety, like I couldn't, you know, that was like my thing. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't. So I would just, you know, bail.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. I mean, that was like my MO for a long time.
Did you understand though that it was anxiety? Like for me, until I really started working it, you know, my first stint of sobriety was a dry drunk. I wasn't in no meetings. Went to one, whatever, your BS and your higher power bullshit. And, you know, but when I really started working, it's like, oh my God, I suffer from anxiety.
Yes, yeah.
I didn't even really realize what these feelings, you know, the mind running, all of that was.
Right, yeah. I mean, I knew from a pretty young age that I had anxiety because I started working with a therapist like when I was really young, and I knew that I had depression early on. So I mean, I knew that intellectually as you can know as like, you know, a 14-year-old, but I didn't have the tools that I have now.
Right.
You know, like I was learning, and I had a great therapist who, you know, really did help me like figure out like, okay, you're you know, the things you're explaining, that you're telling me about sound a lot like anxiety. Like, tell me more about that. Like, well, how do you deal with that? So I did learn techniques like, you know, like, okay, I can feel my feet on the floor. Like, and like, you know, just like relaxing, breathing, doing all the things to kind of like ground myself and get through the moment and like realize, okay, you're not going to die.
but we think
feel
it feels like that.
It does. It feels
when
like
it's the weight on your chest and you can't breathe.
Yes.
You know, and it's odd because you shared that you too suffering from depression. It's like when we have depression, we're just fine with dying. When we have anxiety, it's like, I feel like I'm going to die and I don't want to die.
Yeah.
You know?
And I don't know what to do about it.
Exactly.
Like, how do I make it stop? And it feels like it's going to last forever. You know, like I'm always going to feel this sense that I'm jumping out of my skin, that I can't, you know, like that can't be contained within my physical body. Like, it's a terrible feeling.
It is. But I interrupted you, but you were sharing some of the techniques that you use now. I mean, you know, what all do you do? I've started doing breath work. I think it's magical.
Yeah, I do some. I heard, was it Jeremy Jackson on your show was talking about breath work? I do breath work. Like I did, I used to do Kundalini yoga, like a subset of Kundalini yoga that my ex-husband did. And it was all about breathing. And I still apply those techniques to like, you know, like you do the visualization of like seeing like your breath drop down through your body. And, you know, it is, whether you're into like woo-woo stuff or not, like it's very calming.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it puts you in a better mindset. And if I'm stressed out about whatever, if I go sit and just think about my breathing and like letting it come down through my body and like relaxing and like, and just reminding myself, like, you're going to get through this. It's going to be okay. Just breathe. There's something very transformative about that.
This is the Knocking Doors Down podcast, featuring celebrities, experts, and everyday people who have overcome adversities, including addiction, mental health, and trauma, to live purposeful lives. And that's what Knocking Doors Down is all about.